I'll talk a little bit about myself, is that I work in the area of strategic planning, management, project management, negotiation, and finance. I also work with Built by Pros, which is a collaboration between the union contractors and our unions. With them, I pretty much work as their executive director. We most recently worked on a project with STEAM, which you probably heard about, as Metro has turned into a STEAM academy. So we've infused $30,000. Many of you are probably part of those unions, so your dollars have been used wisely to put these kids on a pathway called ProPact. And what that is it's an agreement with the schools to help put them through a pre-apprentice type program so that they will come out hopefully being able to live the American dream that we all say that we have lost, which is to have a home, have a few toys, and that we are able to sustain our families and do that without thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars of debt as our kids come out of school. We also have a mentoring program going on. So we have folks from the unions going into Metro and working cooperatively to move them forward and plug these kids in quickly. I've also had the endorsement of both the Building Trades and the Hawkeye Labor Council, so that's pretty much every union around here. So I believe in fair wages for everyone and working for that equality for everyone across the board, regardless of who you are and what you do. So I'm the daughter of a veteran, and I was raised with the experience and the belief not only to give back, but pay it forward and to work together for the common good. So that's about finding common ground. And that's what I've done. It's been a good 2 years on council, and I too am proud of my colleagues on council. We've made a lot of decisions to move our city forward, and we're seeing a lot of progress. And there are many people who are looking at that going, yeah, I'm glad I'm part of that, or I want to be part of that. So we are getting a lot done. We've had street repairs. We're seeing something with street repairs, which you all know. We see Glass Road, and people say, well, why is Glass Road being fixed? Well, it's an impartial, fair way. There's no political will involved in this as far as having any kind of, if Gary came to me and he lived in Cedar Rapids, I couldn't go get his street fixed. It's been a very impartial approach that's data-driven, and we're proud of that because we can't let things deteriorate. We also have to keep those in a good, stable condition while we're also fixing the bad roads. And you'll see that I believe that there was just a release recently, if you actually take the Gazette, which I don't, but maybe you do, and you'll see that they have the list for next year coming out. So again, that's impartial. We're seeing that. We have a balanced budget. We've kept our tax rate stable at 15.22 per 1,000. Yes, there's going to be rollback, Robin, and we've been talking about that. But we also have several things that we're looking at, and what that has to do with is progress. And it's about small business and entrepreneurs and continuing to keep our base strong with businesses, and we continue to bring them in, we continue to talk to them, and that's what's going to help us hopefully keep our tax rate as stable as possible. So that's what we're looking at. Then I've been also be able to bring diverse groups together to move different and affect positive policy. I've championed 3 things since I've been on council in a little over 18 months. One was the synthetic drug ordinance, was to help police get ahead of rather than behind of and chasing those who sell synthetic drugs to our children and to other folks who were able to walk into businesses and purchase these items. So not only did we make that a Cedar Rapids ordinance, we were contacted by the state who has moved it forward, and they were looking at making it a state ordinance. Then we also were contacted by the federal government, and that's being championed with much of our model being championed at a national level on a bipartisan approach. So I'm very proud of what we've done with that. The second thing that I championed was CR Youth. CR Youth is the first time in the history of Cedar Rapids for the Cedar Rapids School District and the city to come together and offer credit, for government credit for kids, so that they can use that on their transcript. What it does is it allows them project-based learning. A city has every job imaginable, from attorneys to those who fix our streets, those who are in HR. And what it does is it allows them the opportunity to get connected, because the whole idea that the premise and the concept of what I came up with CR Youth for was to grow them and keep them. We need to grow and sustain our folks here besides growing our business. The last thing that I also championed was regional collaboration. That was an innovative finance approach that didn't take your tax dollars if you live in Cedar Rapids and place it toward regionalism, but it's a pay-as-you-go, heads and beds approach, which was with Prospect Meadows. So we are working very effectively regionally with the folks that we're neighbors with. As Parks and Rec liaison, I've worked on establishing a foundation for bricks and mortar, and also an endowment, which we're hoping to have come online. As the person who is on the city council, as one of three on City Council that works with the Public Safety and Youth Services Committee. We've been pulling data about youth, and we've been using that effectively. We've been looking at disparity. What does that look like for our kids? It's all about growing and keeping our kids and being equitable across the board. There's so many other things that I could share with you tonight. I serve on the Horizons Board. Most recently, they're partnering with the county, and we're talking about a senior center. And we also have just partnered with NTS to help look at transportation in our area. We know that there needs to be more in that area and that there is more to be done. I serve on the Metropolitan Planning Organization. We also have just undertaken a significant study about the disparity and what's needed in our transportation system. It's all about plugging people in, making sure they have jobs, and making sure they get where they need to go so that we have equity across the board so that we can be a thriving community. Most recently, I brought together a diverse group that's being headed up by Stacy Walker that's looking at, it's called SET. It is called about safe, equitable, and thriving communities. And they're looking at everything from poverty, which also then what are as the systemic issue, and then what are the things that are actually presenting issues like gun violence. So these are a couple of the things I've worked on. There's so many more, but I know I'm out of town, or I'm out of time, and I appreciate your vote on November 3rd. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susie. Next up, Wayne Wagner. Wayne, please.